Wayne here on Wayne Wednesday. Today I have my friend Harry, who is joining for his first online event. Harry was born on the back porch on May 20th. His mom had five of them, and she was able to take away four of them and give them a good home, but she left this one for us. So, hello, Harry. Say hi. Yes, okay. He'll be back. Anyway, I hope you're all being safe and being smart and taking care of yourselves. We really appreciate the feedback we're getting for our programming. Tonight, Movie Club drops with Kiss Me Kate, the 1958 Hallmark Hall of Fame version. And Alfred Drake and Patricia Morrison, the stars, are just wonderful. So if you're a Spotlight Society member, please join us for Kiss Me Kate and a whole lot of interesting information before and after the movie. So last week we talked about five singers. I picked three ladies and two gentlemen, and our friend Edward Sturm put together a wonderful listening list on Spotify. But I noticed last week that all three of my ladies were sopranos, and I said I would talk about belters this week. And both of my gentlemen last time were very gifted contemporary singers who do a lot of the current repertoire and pop music as well, which is kind of what you have to do if you're going to work in musical theater right now. But I wanted to give us two classic gentlemen who you might learn more about if you're interested in the various styles of the musical theater. So just quickly, my two guys this week, Gordon Mcrae, who not only is the star of the film versions of Carousel and Oklahoma, but you'll find he had a really lengthy recording and radio career, and you'll find a lot of his recordings. He was awfully good at a whole lot of kinds of popular music. So, and it's a warm sound. He's really good with lyrics. And in shows like Oklahoma and Carousel, he can really do what we talked about last week, and that is start the song in one place and during the song journey to the end and take you on a ride. The other one, the incomparable Alfred Drake, whom you'll see in the movie club Kiss Me Kate if you have a chance to tune in. And interestingly, he was the original Curly in Oklahoma, but he didn't really tend to play rustic and unsophisticated guys. His strength was in doing shows like Kiss Me Kate and Kismet, where his wonderful rapid-fire delivery and droll sense of humor and a sort of innate elegance were very right for the kinds of things he did. But listen to his wordplay, listen to the nuances with which he can imbue something. And then it's just a perfectly wonderful instrument, a baritone with great lows, but high notes that tenors usually have. It's really an exciting voice for that kind of classical music theater. One of his last shows was a thing called Keane, I have behind me, about the Shakespearean actor Edward Keane. And it's just been reissued on a 2 CD set with some demos, and it's wonderful to hear that score again. Of the ladies, I said we would talk about belters this week. Well, you can't do that without mentioning Ethel Merman, the queen of the belters, and the first, I think, for whom that term was used freely and often. If you listen to her vocal instrument, especially the young recordings, it's amazing. Back in the 30s, she really had some soprano notes, and you'll see that in some of her YouTube clips from Anything Goes and from early on in her career. But later on, it was just pretty much that trumpet-like sound she was able to do. I saw her in Call Me Madam and Hello Dolly, and I heard her singing the national anthem at an arena in New York. And the sound was just something you had to hear in person to fully appreciate. She made lots of recordings, but you never quite get the warmth, and you never quite get the clarity of sound that she had. But Edward has picked some really good tunes that give you a good glimpse of what she sounded like in her prime. Later on in her career, the vibrato in her voice got a little out of control and turned into sort of a wobble. And she became kind of a joke for just being so brash. But her early recordings, Annie Get Your Gun, and her performance in the original Gypsy is not to be surpassed by anybody. A lady who ended up doing all of those shows in stock, but never had Irving Berlin or somebody major do a show for her was Karen Morrow. Karen is still with us. She's still performing. She's on the original cast album of White Christmas, doing Let Me Sing and I'm Happy. She's not unlike our own Karen Robb here in Wichita. Karen Morrow can sing with all the force and all the brass of a merman and then pull it back and give you such warmth and such intimacy. And then she's riotously funny too. I mentioned you can hear her on the White Christmas cast album, and she did a lot of shows like Annie Get Your Gun in stock and was just incomparable. And then of the modern ladies, I know Idina Menzel is a big belter, and we have some others. Megan Hilty is really good. But Sutton Foster, for me, is part of the old school of belters who can really make a big sound come out, but then can also pull it back and be very intimate. She's particularly wonderful on the cast album of Violet, but I think she's terrific on the cast albums of both Thoroughly Modern Millie, for which she won a Tony, and Anything Goes, for which she won a Tony. So there's a lot to listen to about her. We were going to talk about some of the things that we like, we as directors and producers, when we're looking to hire people for a summer company, or for anything we do, actually. What are some of the qualities we look for? I asked my colleague Mark Madama, and he had the same reactions I did. 3 things we like, both in the audition and then once we hire somebody and it's first day of rehearsals and we're going to get started. One of the things that is impossible to teach, it seems, but if you have it, you will be so far ahead, and that is joy. If you can bring a positive spirit into the auditions, and no matter how terrified you may be internally, if you can give off the glow of being happy to be in that room, excited to present your material, pleased to be in the company of the other people there, that will take you so far. And I cannot tell you how it will make you stand out in a day full of auditions. Similarly, you start rehearsals and somebody is there. They're there a few minutes early. They're glad to be there. They greet their other colleagues genuinely, not in an overly solicitous way, but just happy to roll up our sleeves and see what we can create together. That is a great quality. Preparedness is terrific too, both in the auditions and on that first day of rehearsals. If you come in really knowing your stuff, knowing what presents you well, knowing what gifts you have, and ready to share those, ready to learn new things, ready to take adaptation and correction from directors and choreographers and musical director, but coming in with the goods already learned. We always harken back to our production of Sunset Boulevard a few years ago, where our 3 leads, Ann Morrison, Chris Peluso, and Nick Savarine, came into the first day of rehearsals with this really difficult music, and they knew everything. They had learned it accurately, they had learned it perfectly, and they were ready to see what kind of a meal we could make out of it, rather than using the first day or 2 to teach the material. So if you're cast in a show, the more you can do to learn it before you get there, great. I think most of us on the other side of the table don't expect it to be memorized, but we expect you to have a good working knowledge of it. And then once we stage it and put it up on its feet, then we hope you go home and lock in the movement along with the lyrics, along with the dialogue, and it's memorized. So the next time we come to that scene or that song, you remember what we did before, and we can build on it rather than having to relearn it. And I think the third thing we would say, something you like, Mark always harkens back to our first production of Aida, where an actress named Montego Glover played the title role. And she did not always see eye to eye with Mark as the director. They would wrestle on what certain points were and how things should be done, but there was always mutual respect. And then when they would take a 5-minute break, she would take her break maybe for 4 minutes, maybe 4 minutes and 15 seconds. But when that 5-minute break was up, she was back in the place where they had left off, and she had put her mind back into that space where they left off. So there was no wasted time getting back into the energy and the focus of what was being done before. So focus, preparedness, and joy, those are great things. Things that sometimes happen in the rehearsal room that make us on the team look at each other and say, well, this is going to be okay, but I don't think we're going to see this person hired back here again. One of them is an inability to take notes. That is to say, a person comes in, maybe they've learned a song wrong on their own, they've got some notes wrong, or maybe they learned some dialogue a little inefficiently or paraphrased it some, and we work on it a while, and then we, the directors or stage managers or musical director, take the time to correct those wrong things. The next time we get to that scene, we don't want to hear those original mistakes again. We want to be able to move forward and not just be stuck in one place. If I have to give the same note to an actor more than twice, you can pretty much bet that we are not going to put that person top of the list to be hired back here again. Similar to that is somebody who just kind of takes up the oxygen in a room, as opposed to coming in and bringing energy into the room. There's somebody who, while the choreographer is giving an instruction, they raise their hand and ask a question before the choreographer has finished teaching it. Listen, really listen. Listen to each other, listen to your directors, listen to your choreographers, and then give it a try. And then if you really don't have it, then ask your question. But don't take up the time that they're trying to teach by asking something that may be answered as you go forward. That taking up the oxygen and needing the attention. We've even had a couple actors who intentionally do things wrong a couple times just to see if you'll notice and give them some more attention. That doesn't happen often, but it's not an attractive quality. So I would say those are unnecessary things that may not help you. And then the other thing is there have been some performers, designers, directors who are always nice to me as the producer. I never hear a cross word from them. They're always solicitous of me and pleasant. But then I hear from the costume shop, or I hear from the stage managers, or I hear from the props master that this person's been disrespectful to them or did not give them attention when they were trying to instruct them on how to use something safely and well. And so it doesn't just go to the person at the top. It extends to all the members of a team. And the more you can respect everybody who is coming together to make this happen, and there will be times where you need to complain about something or fix something, know how to do that in the right way, and to go to the person that you're supposed to, whether it's the stage manager or the head of a certain department. And usually as an actor, you go to the stage manager and say, I don't feel safe about this, or there's a problem with this board, or I can't hear my cue line because people are talking in the wings. There's a way to do that that is all about, let's put on the best show possible, and is not about, well, I don't like this, I want you to change it. That sounds like common sense, but you'd be surprised how valuable that is to know. So we've got a couple more Wayne Wednesdays during this summer season. So we hope that you will write us any questions you have. Certainly, you're always good to email me at wayne@mtwichita.org, and I'll answer anything I can. And again, we appreciate your involvement with us this summer as we have tried to stay connected in new ways. And we think a lot of this will continue into the fall and even into next summer, even as the ability to do live performances comes back. We like this connection with you. So let us know what you think, and thanks for tuning in today.